You're listening to Interactive Wrestling Radio, featuring the Interactive Interview, courtesy of WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Good news, everyone! It's another week here at the Wrestling Epicenter, and my name is James Walsh, your master of ceremonies. This week is an interesting week. We have, joining us from the Global Wrestling Federation back in the day, the company that both myself and Tony Khan, about the only time that you can use me and Tony Khan in the same sentence, I wish I had his kind of money, used to run home from school to watch on ESPN at 4 o'clock, the Global Wrestling Federation, and it is the Witch Doctor Baboos, who was the kind of pushed that button of a lot of racial things at the time. And we talk about that in great detail. I think you guys are going to enjoy this conversation with the good guy, the good doctor, the good witch doctor himself, Baboos. Tomorrow we will have Mickie James on as part of the Impact Wrestling Press Pass podcast. And later in the week we are trying to secure Manny Lemons on the show. Manny Lemons is an independent wrestler, has been on Impact Wrestling, used to work for Championship Wrestling from Arizona back when Championship Wrestling from Arizona was a thing. So, busy week here, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this interview. Love talking to the classic guys from Global. That is really one of my favorite promotions. And I think it shows because I love that stuff and really have brought out some of the best interviews with some of those guys. Craig Johnson, as well as Terry Garvin. One of the very few interviews with Terry Garvin Sims where he really, as he put it, bared his soul, and we lost him a few years ago. So, and earlier this year, we had on Lolly Griffin, who is also known as Crybaby Buxton, also from Global. So, if you're looking for some Global nostalgia, don't forget to check out WrestlingEpicenter.com. Click the interviews link. All of our classic interviews dating back to 2002 can be found in the archives. You can also find our store. So if you're looking for AEW action figures, Impact Wrestling official DVDs, WWE official DVDs, classic wrestling on DVD, the lovely ladies of professional wrestling, guess what, on DVD, and a whole lot more, all you got to do is go to the WrestlingEpicenter.com store. Buy something, will you? Keep us going free and clear. And we'll play a snippet of that here. Hope you guys enjoy the Witch Doctor. I'm done, and let's get to our interview.
This is Doyle King, and you're listening to the Wrestling Epicenter.
Oh my, young Valley has stumbled. Let me extend the hand of good friendship and help him.
Welcome back to Interactive Wrestling Radio. Joining us on the Newsmaker line right now is a guy that I grew up watching, running home from school every day. I remember having my hand on the doorknob to see him on ESPN. And of course, I'm talking about the Witch Doctor. Yep. 4 o'clock every day on ESPN.
On ESPN.
4 o'clock on ESPN, Global Wrestling. And of course, I'm speaking of the Witch Doctor Baboos. Are you with me, sir?
Yes, I'm with you.
All right. So it's a pleasure to have you on the show. And man, like I said, you're such a huge part of, that show from 30 years ago. But what is the Witch Doctor up to these days? Who is the guy behind the paint?
None but a family man now. Just sitting at home.
Awesome.
Wishing I could still do it.
No, man. Do you, well, I got a couple questions about more recent stuff too, but what made you decide to get into pro wrestling? Because it's not the most normal course of a career for most people.
What made me, I took and fell in love with it. Actually, I started going to wrestling in New Orleans, Louisiana. And that's where I'm originally from. And when I started going there, and then I couldn't understand. I didn't know if it was a show or was it real or whatever. And the curiosity of it I just liked the art form of it. I liked the characters and the actors and stuff. And then when I started going, I started carrying raffles bags and stuff. You know, when they would ever come into the Miserable Auditorium in Louisiana, I would carry their bags like Eric the Red, Ernie Ladd.
Wow.
Dick Murdoch didn't want you to touch him. Nothing here. He was kind of ignorant.
Captain Redneck.
Yeah, he is a redneck. But when I started talking to Ernie Ladd, I asked Ernie Ladd, I said, Ernie Ladd, is it real? And he told me, boy, is you crazy? You know this is not real. And that's when I really wanted to do it then because it was acting. I liked it. I wanted to act. And
that's awesome.
Man, I got in there, and then Scandal Akbar was down there there was Miss South Raslin during that time. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
And Scandal Akbar was down there, and I asked him to help me get into wrestling, and he told me, "No, boy, you just go to school. You go to school. You don't need to get in this. You don't need to get in this. Go to school." Now, I took and left New Orleans and came down to Texas and went to Job Corps. When I got out of Job Corps, I started going to the Sportatorium and wrestling and all that kind of stuff. And then I ran into Akbar again. Now, when I ran into him again, I asked him again, help me get into wrestling. So he seen I was determined, so he told me, I tell you what, come on down to Doug's gym. and I went down there to Doug's gym, and that's where I started. That's when he started training me how to wrestle. Now, after he had told me don't, go to school years ago, I met him like maybe 5 or 6 years later again. And he started me in wrestling. And you know who I started with? I started with Jacqueline.
Wow.
Dustin Rhodes. Me, Dustin Rhodes, all of us was in the same class.
That's incredible. Yeah, and Akbar, I actually had the opportunity to interview in 2008, and I mean, just having that honor was so huge for me. But I actually get a little bit of like a prideful feeling because there's still somebody out there now who is out there in AEW who was trained by Akbar, and that's Athena. She was trained by Akbar. Must have been one of his last students.
Must have been the real last, because I didn't even know he was still able to do it. And
yeah,
when they shut that, I think him and Doug, the dude at Doug's gym, I think they were brothers. There was some kind of kin, and he was letting. There's a whole bunch of people came out of Doug's gym, like Bruiser Brody, all them guys came out of Doug's gym, and with Akbar and all that. But after Akbar, I started with Killer Tim Brooks promotion.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first promotion I was with. Then that's when I was with Kamala, and I don't know if you ever heard of the Botswana Beast. You ever heard of him?
Yes, I have. Yes, indeed.
Okay, well, yeah.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the idea come to become the Witch Doctor, to adopt such a dark character like that?
The Witch Doctor. Where I came up with that gimmick was my favorite wrestler was George the Animal Steel.
Ah, another former guest.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. George the Animal Steel. He had that green tongue.
Yep.
He used to stick out his mouth. And I was fascinated with Kamala. So I had to get in the middle of, I did a combination of George the Animal Steel with the he had a green tongue, I had a red tongue, and I put the African stuff, but I didn't want to be an African savage. I wanted to be a self-proclaimed African. Like, go against the grain. I'm not a real African, but I want to play like I'm better than what you call them. Because, see, I didn't like black or white.
Right.
I just thought the African was superior. So that's how I came up with that.
Very cool.
And then I came up with the name Witch Doctor Baboos.
Very cool.
And the reason why I came up with Baboos was I was trying to trigger the crowd to start calling me baboon, baboon, baboon.
Oh.
It never caught on to that, but I was trying to make a name where I could get heat. So that's why I call myself Baboos, because I wanted them to start calling me baboon, baboon. But
Wow.
they never did. They didn't call me baboon, but they did call me buckwheat.
Buckwheat. That's funny. All right. So, like I said, I used to run home every day after school to watch Global Wrestling Federation on ESPN. And you said to me the other day you thought everybody had forgotten all about Global, but for a lot of people my age, that was our everyday after school, special. That's what we watched. Did you guys realize at all that, there were such people? Like I was in New Jersey. You guys were doing it in Dallas. Did you realize that there was such a reach for that program?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I know people tell me all the time. They say you'd be surprised how many people know you and stuff, and you be like, because there's so many that don't.
Right.
These days wrestling and changed, though. And if you didn't get on that mainstream, if you're not like a Ric Flair or somebody, you pretty much forgot about.
Oh, man. Well, not by me. Not by me at all.
I hear you.
Well, I interviewed Stevie Ray, and back then, the Ebony Experience, of course, Harlem Heat, WWE Hall of Famer Stevie Ray. And one of the things he said, and please don't take offense to this, was that he did not like working in the Sportatorium because he found that there was a whole lot of racist rednecks that would shout stuff at him, and he said he couldn't stand it. I had not heard that from anyone else from around that time period, but did you find that was at all the case?
Let me tell you what I did.
Mm-hmm.
That was true, that they had people that was rednecks, and there was prejudiced people. And see, during that time, believe it or not, man, you ain't gonna believe this. In the 80s and stuff like that, they used to have the blacks would sit on one side and the whites would sit on another side. They just barely start coming together like in the 90s. They start mixing with each other. But yeah, so it was like that. But the thing is, somebody like me, I used to be the one that made the Ebony and Ivory work together. They hated me so much until they would come together and work together to boo me, and I loved it. I loved it.
That actually brings me to my next question. Brandon Baxter, some of the stuff you could still find on YouTube from the later era of Global. Brandon Baxter was paired with you, and he was kind of doing the jive talk, and at one point he called Doyle King a honky when he was with you, and there was some funny stuff there. What's your thoughts on that, and did you guys know you were pushing the buttons?
Yeah, I was pushing the buttons. I was pushing the buttons real with the come. Because you got to realize what was going on at that time. Here you got this pretty little blonde boy, and you got this black boy, this African, got this little boy sitting on his lap and stuff. You remember Brandon used to sit on my lap in a wheelchair. Yep. And not only that, what was going on, that was during the time that the molestation stuff with Michael Jackson was going on.
Oh, see, I didn't even think of that.
What I was doing, I was pushing the button. I was really pushing the button, and the people hated it. They hated that. They could not stand the idea that and then by him being a white boy listening to a black. Oh, and then I put them African clothes on that boy. that just I was pushing. Which come I had the city councils. It's a real big city council. John Wiley Price. He was trying to ban me because he said I was disgracing the black race, and I had NAACP everybody after me and stuff.
Wow, I didn't.
Yeah, they did not. They were mad at me. They took that stuff serious. They said I was a disgrace.
Wow. That's
but I loved it, because I loved the heat that I was getting. Man.
Yeah, that was good. And at some point, didn't you also include Tony Adams, I think, as well, involved in the story at some point too?
Me and Tony Adams, and me. I took Chris Adams' son and called him Little Leroy and dressed him up like an African. You don't remember that?
I do remember that. Yes, that was.
and Iceman was his stepdaddy because Iceman was messing with Tony Adams, and we took his son and had that little boy and the little boy was a great actor. Right now he calls me every now and then and laugh about that stuff. He said how he had so much fun because I had him in there saying, "Iceman is nice man," and all this stuff. And Daddy Chris, bad.
That's some great stuff, man.
Oh man, we used to push the ass. We was pushing. Yeah.
Do you think you would have gotten away with any of it today, with the way that culture is now?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think even Mo got away with it right now. I mean, wrestling is hard now. See, I was Baboos. Baboos was real. When I walked down that aisle and got around them people, wrestlers are different now. I mean, not anybody could be a wrestler because they could be taught to be a wrestler. But back when I was doing it, you had to be chosen and picked. You were picked. You was not. It wasn't no anybody could just jump into wrestling and be a wrestler. You had to come with something. It was not just all scripted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see, just like now, everything is everything is scripted. It's scripted. We didn't have scripts during that time. And I know Kevin Owens. He don't like to hear what they say old school style and all that stuff. He say he think that's lazy wrestling and stuff like that. I heard him made a comment about that, but I don't think he understands the difference in it. The difference in it is that now I think the wrestlers are better now because they more physical, more physical shape. You know. Because, but we sympathized it more because when we did a finish, you do 18 finishes now in matches. I see.
Yep.
But back in the day when you did something like a brain buster, that was it. That was the end of the match.
Yep.
That was the end of the match. But now these days they do brain busters and then they hit them with chairs, then they hit them, then they put them through tables. And, I mean,
yeah.
And they still get up.
And they still get up. That's right.
Yeah, and you don't. Back in the day, it was it wasn't like that.
That's true. And
so no, if I don't think I could. No, I don't think I could keep up with one of them guys today. If it was back, if it was like it is now, no. I don't think the average wrestler couldn't keep up with him.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was doing an interview with one of the young guys. His name is Rich Swann. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Rich Swann very much, but he said that he modeled his hair after his favorite wrestler, Iceman King Parsons. And that to me was so cool to have a guy that, is current, acknowledging that he took something from Iceman, who was such a big part of your career and global especially.
Man, Iceman was one of the greatest underprivileged wrestlers there was. He just got a lot of heat that he probably brought some of it on himself, but it was a lot of jealousy. See, the thing is, at that particular time, if you don't have the connections, it's not who you know. Sometimes you could be too good, where nobody don't want to put you in the area because you're gonna outshine them. So they wouldn't put you through. Because sometimes it wasn't that you wasn't good enough. Sometimes you was too good. And that Iceman was one of them.
Very cool. I agree completely. So I mentioned to you that this interview was set up by a friend of ours, which is Scott Vaudry, who's been on our show before. He's a good friend. I met him through Manny Villalobos, the late Manny Villalobos. But what a nice guy he is. He mentioned that there might be something about Jimmy Phillips. What did you think of working with Jimmy Phillips in Global and then after Global as well?
He's the nicest person. He's a talent. He messed up his career.
Who?
He met Fuller, Jimmy Fuller. He was trying to look at people as being fair. Ferd is not. You know how you was talking about the racial stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
Well, by him hanging with me and Iceman and all this kind of stuff, it kind of like, and I told him to hang with Agbo and them because they was going to push him. They would push him to be successful because he had the looks and he could wrestle and stuff like that. But he didn't want to do that because, that boy don't have a prejudiced bone in his body.
Right.
He's a super good guy. Good guy. And he didn't look at color, but there was a color issue in there. You just have to, during that time, they only wanted a certain amount of blacks in the area. They only had one or two on shows like that. It's not like it is. It ain't got better now. It ain't perfect, but it has got way 100% better. And that's what happened with Full On. And you know, I tell him all the time, man, that's where you messed up at. I told you to get away because I wanted him to make it. Because see me, I'm not like that neither. I didn't have a jealous bone in my body. If you was better than me, great. If you gonna make the show good, great. I was just concerned about when I walked down that aisle and I got you. If I had just one or two people booing me, I was happy. You hear me? And I had many people booing me, so I was the happiest. Man, nothing made me more happier in my life. You talking about drugs? That's the best drug in the world, to be in the wrestling. That's a drug you can't get over, man.
That's awesome. My favorite, you know, and it's kind of strange because, like I said, I grew up in New Jersey, and you guys in Global kind of went away from ESPN in '93, and there was stuff out there on KTVT in Dallas area and Fort Worth, so it was still going, and it was syndicated, and I got it, you know, occasionally in syndication where I was, but you guys had, you know, lost the big exposure. But I felt that those later shows where you guys were really able to cut loose was a much better show than the kind of sanitized show that they put on ESPN for the first 3 years of the company. Do you agree with that?
I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you know what the problem was?
What's that?
The jealousy. They used to have a thing in the sportatorium that they would go by who would have the best match. And it would go by the meter, and the crowd would pick who had the best match of the night.
Right.
And so, guess who we used to win that? Me and Iceman and Action Jackson and them used to all the time win it. But because of prejudice and because we were black, we didn't get the airtime that we were supposed to get. But when the company started dying down and stuff like that, then they start realizing it was too late. But if they would have cut us loose before, when they had all that money and they had a whole bunch of backing, if they would have cut us loose and let us do what we wanted to do and not be prejudiced, the company would have still been going on. But because of prejudice is the reason why that company went under.
Oh man, I hate to hear that.
And then you know, some people wouldn't want to hear that, you know, but that's the truth. But Iceman and you know, I'm not tooting my own home, but we were good, man. We had them people. We had them people in the palm of our hands.
Yes, you did.
They hated us so much until they loved us.
That's true. Absolutely true. So Global closes in September of '94. You're around. You're around for a long time in wrestling, especially in Texas and all that good stuff. Was there ever any chance of you going to WCW or WWE at that point?
Well, my WCW chance got ruined. You remember? I don't know if you might remember what one time WCW was having the international tag teams.
Yes,
they was having all these different tag teams, like different people. What you call them? Okay, well, the Botswana Beast and Kamala was supposed to be a tag team, and I was supposed to manage that tag team.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
What happened was the Beast signed a deal with Japan and got out of it, and so it knocked me out.
Oh man,
they didn't want me in. You know, I couldn't. And then I used to manage the cones. You know, the awesome cones. The two cones. I had them, and I lost them because I didn't have a pussy. Excuse me. I lost them. Sister Sherry, whatever her name is. I can't remember. I'm not pronouncing her name right.
Sister Sherry?
Yeah, I lost it to Sherry. I lost them to Sherry. They started managing it, and then I couldn't go up against a person like Harley Race. He managed the cone. So and then Booker T and Stevie Ray was going to take me with them, but guess what happened on that? The week before they were supposed to go to WCW, I had a match between Iceman and Action Jackson against the Ebony Experience and Booker T. What happened was I accidentally bust Stevie Ray Hayes, and he thought it was a shoot.
Oh.
So, man.
Oh, man.
Ever since then, I had heat. Didn't even know I didn't even know I had busted Hayes.
Oh, man, I didn't know that. I don't think he mentioned that when I interviewed him either. But that's a shame. That was a shame because I think you would have fit in pretty well in WCW especially in the mid to late '90s. Absolutely.
And you know what stopped me from going to WWE, right? I could tell you.
What's that?
Well, what happened was, I don't know if you've seen the matches where I was rolling down in the wheelchair and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
Okay. You know what happened with that? They give me that gimmick because they were trying to cool me down because I was getting all the heat. I was getting more heat than the wrestlers in the ring because people was paying more attention to watching me, and stuff like that. So they call themselves trying to cool me down by putting me in a chair. When they put me in the wheelchair, I got more heat.
That's right.
But the thing is, that gimmick was a gimmick that guess who wanted to do?
I don't know who.
Hayes.
Michael Hayes. Oh.
Michael Hayes. That was Michael Hayes' gimmick. And he had put it on, that was the beginning of when they was doing things on Facebook. I don't even know how to work a computer to today. I didn't know that was Michael Hayes' gimmick. Now, Michael Hayes held that against me.
Oh, wow.
Because he thought I came up with that gimmick and took it from, know that he was going to do it and then stole it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man, that's stupid.
But it might be stupid, but right after Michael Hayes got me out the wheelchair, if you seen when I got out the wheelchair, it was Terry Gordy and Michael Hayes, the Freebirds that came back to Texas.
Yep.
And I got healed.
Oh, boy.
Out of the wheelchair. But I didn't know why, and then he took Mo Adib from me. Mo Adib used to be
Ahmed Johnson.
Under me. Yeah, Ahmed Johnson was Mo Adib. But I used to manage him too. I started him in wrestling.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know those stories. That's pretty wild that would be the case. If it was funny, I remember there is a clip on YouTube. In fact, I just watched it before I called you. Where Mark Valiant fell down. Let me see if I can help him.
Yeah.
You get out of the wheelchair and you pop him. That's some great stuff. All right. Well, I mean, we talked about a lot of your career here. Let's see here. So, what do you think of? Well, you've kind of talked about it already, but what do you think of pro wrestling today? And do you still enjoy what wrestling has become, as it has, as you said, become more athletic, but maybe less character driven?
I think it's more. I think people know too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people don't look at it the way you used to look at it and how you used to because you didn't want to believe that it wasn't real. I think the people of today look for what kind of stunt that they can do, how high they can get, how high they can fly, and back in the day, it used to be the good versus evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Now it's about who's the most acrobatic. I mean, lately they've been doing. I noticed the Raw with Roman Reigns. They've been doing a little more kind of like a little old school.
Yeah.
And AEW, they try to bring back a little bit of the old school back.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that era is dead, and I'm not. It was hard for me to even to do an interview. I just say, man, I crave wrestling so much. I had to do something because this and when I say when they say drugs and hooked on something,
mm-hmm.
wrestling never leaves your system.
Right.
You can't never quit. It's no such thing as quitting wrestling. So
That's right.
I had to do something because I was kind of mad at the older guys that's been in wrestling. I don't know why, even though the whole world knows that kayfabe is dead.
Yeah.
I still like to hold on to it.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Somebody just the other day said that the biggest shame is that the magic is gone, and that's pretty accurate. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's a circus now. It's a circus now.
All right, so you mentioned Dallas, and Dallas is obviously going to be always entwined with your career. You did a show in 2014. You got to work alongside the new generation of the Von Erich boys, who are doing pretty good in MLW. I hope, for big things for them still. But what did you think of their prospects, the young Von Erichs?
I think they're respectful, real respectful. I wish that the worst thing that happened is that they don't have a building in Dallas, and that their dad won't just let them boys build up. They're too expensive for one, and nobody can really work them. Build up a show with them. But other than that, them boys, they real respectful.
Awesome.
Real respectful, and I think they can. I think it could have happened. I think they could have went further. And
they're still out there. They're in MLW. I think they're still the tag champs. But
I know, but they're not getting the push that they deserve with that name.
I agree with that.
Von Erich name. I mean, that ain't supposed to be no middle card or nothing like that. And that show there, I was so disappointed in that show because I thought that was the beginning of a major comeback.
Oh, the 2014 one. That was a little bit cursed.
2013.
Was it? Oh boy. Okay.
2013.
If I'm not mistaken, isn't that also the show where like a woman ended up in the trunk of a car? Or something crazy like that. There was some crazy stuff associated with that show.
Yeah, because I think she got tied up with the cartel or something like that.
Oh my gosh!
I don't even want to talk about it.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, we don't want you ended up in any trunks.
Because I don't mess with the cartel.
There you go. All right. Well, before I let you go, and I do appreciate you going through all these old memories with me, but did you have anything you'd like to say?
I hope I did good. I hope I did good enough for you.
Man, I told Scott this before, and one of the best interviews I did all year. I've had on a lot of people this year, but one of the best ones I did was with Lolly Griffin, who was Crybaby Buxton in Global. That's the kind of stuff. That's who the guys I love. You guys are the ones that I love to talk to because you have the cool stories and the memories, from when I was a kid watching this, when I really loved it as much as, I still love it today. But those guys, like yourself, you're the reasons that I fell in love with this stuff.
Oh, man, you just don't know how you make me feel. You don't know how good that makes me feel. I'm glad somebody, because most of the people are gone. They're gone to heaven. And, but it's good to hear something like that. You just don't know. You don't know what an honor it is. I am so glad that I got a chance to talk about it.
Me too. I'm so glad to have you on. I'm glad to be the one to do it. Hey, before I let you go, do you mind if I ask for a little favor?
Yeah.
Do you mind doing maybe like a little bit in character? This is Baboos, and you're listening to the interactive. I'm sorry. Let me try that again.
Oh, you want me to go in the back? Oh,
yeah.
That's easy, man.
Would you mind?
I mean, look, what are you talking about?
Just doing just an ID, just saying this is.
This is the Witch Doctor Baboos, and I want all of you stinking cattle breath smelling Texans to realize that I ain't dead. I'm still alive, and I was trying to make a comeback, and I appreciate this young man giving me an opportunity, even though I heard he's a redneck. But that's okay.
I appreciate that, man. That was awesome. Hey, thank you so much. I'll let you know when I get this online. Are you on Facebook? I see that there is a Witch Doctor Baboos Facebook account.
Well, yeah, that's the one that Jimmy Fuller's pretty. I told you I don't even know how to work a computer, and Michael Hayes thinking I took his over Jimmy from.
Well, I'll let you know that when I get it up, and I'll tell Scott, too, and have him pass it along so you can hear it. But, man, that was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
Okay. All right.
All right. Keep in contact. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it so much.
All right, you keep in contact with me whenever and anything you want me to do.
I appreciate that.
This is Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Interactive Wrestling Radio. Oh, Rush.
Featuring the interactive interview.
Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Interactive interview. Oh, yeah.
Formerly The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze.
The Blaze.
The Blaze. The Blaze. The Blaze rock.
You maniacs, so what you gonna do when the Blaze of Mania runs wild on you?
On WrestlingEpicenter.com.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling
Epicenter. Wrestling
Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Wrestling Epicenter. The Wrestling Epicenter. Don't get off.
And now we shamelessly name drop from our history.
The Wrestling Epicenter would like to apologize for the following.
All right, everybody. Viva la raza. Viva la raza.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, ladies.
Hey guys, we had a lovely conversation.
First lady.
Absolutely. Oh, look at me. She's so kooky.
Be there. Where else?
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling.
Epicenter.
Oh my God, you win! Wow, being interactive.
I was not shooting. Yeah, I almost missed my fan. Breaking neck. I got 2 words for you. I've heard a lot about you guys. Excuse my language. You're going to go to the shop. You know, we're into the many.
No nerves.
That was great. It's going to be cool. What it's all about. The purest point of view.
The living legend.
Champion. Arrogant.
You're listening to me.
Instead of saying when I'm talking to you,
So lonely without you.
In the land of extreme.
testify. Nevermore. Interactive.
Interview.
I'm not just the best.
Interactive.
Interview with a plastic
You
head.
earned the right.
Nobody. You better keep listening. Thank you very much. Controversy creates cash. Professional
Made
wrestling.
in the USA, baby.
Memphis wrestling.
Oh, Baboos.
It's a cool name. The guy on fire.
I'm not
bad.
We were sexy.
What a show.
The one and only.
Interactive Wrestling Radio.
Wrestling Epicenter.
Interactive interview. We took care of the business. This isn't ballet. We are huge. You're where it's at.
You gotta recognize who's the best.
Make sure you tune in each and every week. I'll come out of your computer.
Knock down your door and turn it on for you.
Or else I'm gonna kick your stinking teeth in. And that's the bottom line.
Have a nice day.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.